So I've been working this evening again on the bus. I've got another coat of paint on the ceiling. And then with the temporary 12-volt source through that AC to DC converter, I've actually got the first 3 puck lights installed. Clearly that dimming that I'm going to be doing is necessary. These are very bright at full power. So that'll be good for the building process in here. So I don't mind it while I'm building, but certainly to live in here, I need those microcontrollers to do the pulse width modulation and be able to dim these. And then also to have the light strings for mood lighting or just soft lighting as uplighting from the wire chases is the rest of that plan. So anyhow, I'm going to call it quits for the evening. I feel good to get some lights going in the ceiling here. So how I've been doing these is I'm just crimping on these bullet connectors using male on red from the ceiling, and then I just use the heat gun to melt the shrink wrap a bit, and then I connect them. Over here I'm just using a screw terminal for right now. Eventually those will get connected to the microcontrollers, probably also with these bullet connectors. I've got to look at how I want to do that, but or I may be able to screw them directly into the MOSFETs. I got to take a look at how much wire is going to be available and where I'm going to mount those microcontrollers exactly. So I installed this DC fuse panel here. This will be where it's permanently mounted actually. It'll be in the back of a cabinet. And I've got one section here fully completed with 9 lights. I think overall I have 29 lights, so I'm roughly a third of the way through. But certainly they throw a lot of luminosity here. They definitely brighten up the place, so when they're all done it'll be wonderful for working in here. I have the next 5 lights here wired up in the midsection of the kitchen, and there's not a light here because that's where the fan goes. I marked the fans with pieces of duct tape stuck in the middle of the panel and then just avoided painting around them. And then I decided just to kind of twist the connectors together since this is all temporary instead of using the punch down block. It's just a lot simpler to do. So this went faster. As I've said before, these processes speed up as you do them. You get a little more skilled at it or figure out what the fast way is. So anyway, I'm about to plug these in and turn them on. Alright, so there's the front section of lights. You'll notice right in here there are no lights. That is because the appliances will come out further, and then over in this section we're going to actually have the a cabinet from the sort of breakfast bar that's going to come out a little bit. So it's either going to be a cabinet or a shelf, and I just didn't want a light in that position. So and then up in here there's going to be a fan. So there will also probably be some lighting over the stove, and then over here under a shelf or cabinet at the sink level. Probably also run some LED lights there. So hopefully the kitchen will be well lit as well. Now it's time to move on to these here, and then the last ones that I'll do will be up in the overcab bunk because I hate it up there. It's a little cramped. So anyhow, I don't know if I'm getting these done tonight or not. It's getting late. Okay, so I got these 7 additional lights here done. What I have left is the ones over the bedroom area and then over the overcab bunk there. So most of them are in. Pleased, they look really nice installed. Okay, so I got these 5 over the bedroom area here done, and now I only have 3 more ceiling lights to do in the overcab bunk. So that should be pretty quick. And just like that, I've got the 3 done up here. This only took a few minutes. Like other things, getting faster at it as I go. I do need to shrink wrap with the heat gun, wrap some tape around these bullet connectors. This is a male-female style connector. I figured that way it'd be potentially easier to change lights, although they don't come apart very easy once you shrink wrap them with the heat gun. So but that's a good thing as well. So anyhow, I'm going to get these finished up and put into the ceiling. And then the temporary connection of the LED lights will be finished. And here it is with them all done. So that right there is the Whirlpool tub that arrived yesterday on the freight. I brought it over to the bus on the utility trailer. Tonight I'm going to test that and make sure that it works. I assume it will. But I went and got stuff to finish the interior. I've got 3 more boxes of the cedar to grab out of the car, but this will line the Whirlpool area and shower stall. It's going to have like half of it covered with wall. The other half will be open and use a curtain. So it's a really pretty cedar, nice red tones. I assume it's Western red cedar, but got the interior paint to do the walls. So the next thing I'm going to do is start painting, first filling holes and rough spots, and then putting primer and paint on all the walls. So after that, I intend to build the stall for the Whirlpool tub and rough that in. And then I'll start building the platforms in the back. And I'm working on these platforms here to reinforce the, you can see the openness there. There's actually going to be wood going vertically, plywood going vertically to support the floors and create compartments there. So that's the agenda. Just keep building out the interior. Alright, so I'm testing the Whirlpool tub here with a little assistance, and just going to fill it with water and plug in an extension cord and see how the pump works. Make sure it wasn't damaged in transit. And it looks like the pump is obviously working here. So I'm at the bus here today. I've been outside cleaning up, tidying up my scrap metal and moving things around, etc. Make it easier for my brother to mow the property. So anyhow, I'm in here. I'm going to solder wires in the back, but just noticing it's so nice to have such good overhead lighting in here to work. It's night and day difference, so to speak. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and solder wires in the back and frame things in a bit. I think I'm going to have to plan to build enough furring strips tied into metal so that I can kind of create a shelf below that window. That's my thought process anyway. I think I'm going to pretty much back it with plywood, but I want to have enough support back there that a shelf is feasible. Got to think through that. But first order of business is to solder wires for the automotive lighting, and I'm going to put wire loom around that, get that tidied up, and then start insulating. So my goal is to be able to paint the side walls in the back and get a coat of paint on everything so I can move downward, work on the hatches. I've got to cut in the actual hatches, the trapdoors, so to speak. Well, I guess they're not really trapdoors, they're lift hatches, but it's not going to be the whole piece of plywood. I'm going to cut a rectangle in, maybe 2 per section. But I've got to create some additional support structure underneath. And then after that, I'll be able to start on flooring. I tested the Whirlpool tub today. It worked great, so I'll be framing that in along with the platform floors in the back. So, building out the interior. So I actually use the blue tubing here for the automotive wiring to at least get it from the engine compartment below up in here. This is the left turn signal, thus the green color code. So I'm going to get this soldered, and this will all get filled in with insulation. That's why I wanted the tube in there to slide a new wire in if something goes bad. And then similarly, I'll use tubes over here to do the same thing. I may have to kind of funnel out some of the insulation when I put, I don't know if you can see them under the tubes there, those insulation OSB boards 2-inch thick. I may need to channel out some of the insulation for the tubing here as I put it over there, but the idea here is to get all this so that I don't have to access the parts that I'm sealing in. I will leave this to be easily accessible with removal of a panel here where the lighting is, but just letting the soldering iron warm up, and I'm about to do some soldering and then shrink wrap. So I got these automotive wires soldered, heat shrink on them, and wrapped them in tape. Put them through a loom on this side. I'm bracketing the loom down. For the main wires feeding up from the engine bay, I use this blue tubing. So I'm going to have to slot the insulation over the deck here, the engine shroud, to accommodate these, and they're going to kind of go over to the corner there. The center light's going to feed on wire loom along that edge over with enough slack so that the hatch can open here. And then over here I've got a blue tubing going up from the engine bay for the right turn signal wire. Everything else is going to get loomed up into the top here, cleaned up, and probably, I'm guessing, duct tape in place. I don't see any good way to screw this in. Well, actually, no, I can screw to the wood here with a bracket, so that's what I'll do. I'll screw the loom in with a bracket. But I'm going to finish this tomorrow. It's getting late. So to help frame out the back here, I actually put the original placard holder, lighted placard holder back in. I'll probably be doing the same thing up in the front if I can make it work with the wood. Might be a little too tight, I'm not sure. I might have just enough room, but anyhow, the idea here is that this will let us shade this window and the sleeping area with a placard. We could probably put some fun messages on it, etc., for when we're driving at night. We'll light it up with these. I'll rewire them. It's 3 bulbs, so they're just simple bulbs I'll be able to find anywhere. Obviously I need to clean some of the dirt off of this, wipe it down, but this will also serve to help me frame in the back wall here. There's going to be a shelf at this level here coming out a little bit, and then the rest of it's just going to be plywooded, I believe. We might have a little cabinet on the sides too, I don't know. Those might be finishing touches. So anyhow, got that screwed in, got the wiring cleaned up, got it all in looms. So at this point I'm ready to start putting insulation board in, spray foam, etc., and getting this back framed up. So this evening's project on the bus is to get this panel wired with all the outlets and runs that are already set up here. So I'm going to get the wire clamps in to hold these in from the side and possibly from the top. And we'll get it all wired up and label the circuits. So to start with, I'm going to get these 5 wires put in on the right hand side of the box here. I've punched out 5 knockouts. I'm going to start installing the strain relief, and then I'll get the wiring going here. So I got the first circuit for the entertainment center outlet here into the breaker box. I think the next two, or the next one's the one by where the wood burner is going. But the next 2 after that are going to need to be ground fault, and I think I've decided that I'm going to join those 2 at a receptacle rather than buy an expensive ground fault breaker. So I'm going to keep going here. You'll see the progress as I go. I also just had a nice long conversation with a new Skoolie friend I met on BE Adventure Partners channel, Jason West. Super cool guy, filmmaker, all kinds of interesting things we were talking about. But you'll meet the nicest people doing the Skoolie project. So that's really, I think, the best part is the people. So I'm going to keep moving here. So I have these first 5 runs wired up. We've got the first entertainment center outlet, the wood burner. The second entertainment center outlet here, the wood burner. Then this is both of the sink outlets. This runs down initially to a GFCI outlet. And then I've run both of these as auxiliaries, as gang runs off of the top of the GFCI outlet. There was a sticker over here that said these posts are for the next outlets in the series. So these two will be protected by the ground fault interrupt with the main 20 amp feed here. I went with this approach because this outlet's much less expensive than the $60 breaker that has GFCI built in. So I can actually control both of those with this one. I'm home running all the wires so that it's easier to deal with if I need to replace a wire. And I have the ability maybe to put one of the two outlets on its own circuit later, so that's why I wired it that way. But I need to find my Buchanan crimper to get the grounds crimped so that I can connect this to the outlet's ground, and then I can push that in, and that one will be done. But I'm out of time for the night. So this evening I was continuing on the electrical box. I've got another 4 circuits run here, and Madeline helped tidy up a bit. It was very helpful, and now this is not quite as extreme a danger, so it was very nice of her to come out and help me. So at this point we're going to head home for the evening, and I'll keep doing this again tomorrow. Back at the bus here to do a little more electrical work, and you know what? I've got some really great kids. Miss Madeline really hooked me up here with cleaning up the bus. She got the floors clear of debris and things tidied up way more than they were, so very happy. So right now I'm going to pick up where I stopped there last night on the electrical load center there, and I'm going to keep wiring circuits. So I'm making progress here on this side, getting these wires into the load center, labeling them as I go, hopefully correctly. I'll get some continuity testing going just to double check my work later. Make sure I've got the right wires labeled with the right labels. So anyhow, keeping at it. I'm a couple of 15 amp breakers short here right now, and I need some additional breakers to fill in the box for other circuits which will actually be delivered under the floor to parts like the couch area, and over to the jacuzzi. There's going to be 2 circuits over there, GFCI, and so on. But anyhow, got the wires from the upper part all put in place. I just lack these 2 15 amp breakers I need for these USB outlets in the bedroom area on this side. But I'm done for the evening.